Let's review the episode. So she's like a willing traitor, right? Because Zeke, as we know, has betrayed, of course, the Marleys. Or maybe not. I mean, Zeke is like a quadruple agent, right? Kind of weird guy, has his own plan and so on, right? And he may or may not be on Aaron's side, and so on and so forth, right? You know how that goes, right? And her agenda then, right? As we see here, is that what we knew already, she betrayed the Marleys with Peak and so on. As Peak recognized, she's the Mississippi and so on. Right? But yeah, so she's like the, I don't know, called Yandere, but she's like, I would say she's Yandere, honestly. I would say she's like a Yandere girl, right? Because she's willing to kill anyone for Zeke, right? Yeah, so I would say she's Zeke love, yeah. She's basically like a super Yandere girl, fanatically in love with Zeke, right? So, as we see it here, she kills the other, Marley military man, right? Because she's like, oh, I'm on Zeke's side. So, that's kind of her thing, and arguably, I think she's like the most evil character in the anime, like straight up kind of evil, right? Kind of psychopath, sociopathic evil. As I mentioned, then you can see her as a Yandere girl. Right? She's willing to just murder anyone for Zeke, right? So she's kind of willing to do anything for his evil scheme, right? So she's like, willing to betray or switch sides and so on. And she's like that's kind of a weird character that it's kind of like playing the Zeke faction no matter what, right? And then of course Zeke has his own agendas and plans and so on. As with Leva, it's like I don't trust you, monkey, right? So, but her whole thing though, I think it's kind of funny here because she's basically falls in love with Zeke. She sees him transform in the war earlier, because. And yeah, gets like oh, he's the perfect man. I guess it's like, epiphany of him being like, oh, look at his furry body, it's perfect. Oh god, right? And then she's like, insanely in love with Zeke, right? Willing to do anything he wants, right? So that's kind of her character, honestly. And in one way, I would argue she's like, I don't know, is she a complicated character? In some sense, she is, because she does a lot of things that she's like a smart character. Yeah, things that she's quite the intelligent character, but she's also arguably quite one-dimensional. She's like, I have to do what Zeke wants, right? She's very, very, she has one very obvious agenda, right? But she's very intelligent. She does a lot of kill the other Marleys and betrays them and so on, right? And so she's like a smart, crazy person, right? So, an intelligent Yandere, right? So, but yeah, I think she's a Yandere girl. That's kind of what I would call her. We're gonna see more of her being just insanely fascinated. In one way, though, you could argue she's a Mikasa, right? In one way, to throw the Mikasa under the bus here, but you could argue that this is Zeke's Mikasa, right? She's willing to do anything for Zeke, no matter what. And if anyone questions Zeke, she's like, shut up, Zeke's perfect, right? Basically, she's Mikasa, right? Just that she's blonde instead, and not a really good. And Mikasa is like a physical OP character, right? With amazing physical attributes and. So stronger and faster than the other human, right? Yelena isn't like particularly physically strong, but she's like, cunning and scheming instead. Like she, tricked Peak into the hole and so on, right? Of course, Peak actually saw through that trick, so Peak is by far a very intelligent character. And so, but earlier Peak was being very, very intelligent. But Yelena is like, I guess, scheming Mikasa. That's like, I think it's a good way to do it. Yeah, like, she's like a trickster Mikasa, right? That's how I would look at it. Obsessed with her, Jäger boy, and like, I'm gonna get my man. Whereas insane Yandere character, yeah, he's like, come to my trap, right? Yeah, you're gonna like it here. So she's kind of like that. Yeah, she's like some kind of psychopath in love with Zeke, right? That does anything he wants. You can see it. But it's what I mean, dude, because here she's betraying her own, I wouldn't call her friends, but her side, right? Again, she's like a betrayal of the Marleys. And isn't she enjoying it too? She's like not only betraying them because of Zeke, right? She's like, yeah, this is what I need. So she's really enjoying betraying them too, right? She's really into her evil scheme. That's what I mean. Yeah, she's very, I would say, very Andre. Yeah, very like psychotically in like, yeah, they're gonna die. It's gonna be awesome. Like it's very much like that, right? So very, I would say probably the most evil character in the whole storyline, actually. Pure evil. Something like that. But that's what I mean, because she could just be on Zeke's side, right, and do whatever he wants. But she's kind of enjoying it too, right? She's like, she's enjoying betraying other people, because she's like, I did it for your sake. You like that, Zeke? I do anything. She's that kind of woman, right? She's like willing to not just betray them and so on, but also enjoying being evil, right? So she's very chaotic evil, right? Chaotic evil in love with, with her beast, man. That's kind of her. Anyway, while we're at that scene, though, I'll say it briefly here. I mentioned the reaction part. I do find this hit a little silly from an actual military standpoint, and I would argue that it's like not fitting for the Mali Empire. Actually, I genuinely think this scene is pretty stupid, actually. And I would argue saying it's one of the worst writing part probably of the whole anime. No, but seriously, it's okay. So of course, what happens is that Yelena tricks them in, right? She's like, "Oh, come and save us. We need help, the Mali Empire, right?" And they enter, and it's a traitor scene, right? The thing is, as I mentioned during the reaction part, I think it's very true from a historical aspect, though. And of course, the Mali is supposed to be the German Empire, right? It's like World War II and so on. But most countries in World War II, on the Axis side, not on the good side, I mean on the evil side, right? Yeah, of World War II, they all had something in common, and that was like, well, they had many in common, right? But one thing they had in common was they did not care about the soldiers. If you read about, obviously, thinking about like Pearl Harbor and so on, right? The Japanese Empire was like, oh, they are dead, right? And actually, in the Japanese culture, right, at that time, it was basically an embarrassment, right, to return home and being alive. It's like, what, you didn't die for your country? Well, loser, right? And the German Empire also was kind of like, we send them into Stalingrad and they kind of die, right? Yeah. The Soviet, it's a classic scene, right? But the Soviets were using, they didn't have enough money or industrial power, so they had like 2 men per rifle, and then one of the guys died, the other guy could pick up his rifle, right? So most of the empires during World War II and World War I, they wouldn't have cared to save the soldiers. They would have been like, this whole idea of like, romancing, saving these like fallen comrades is like a not very authentic feeling. So honestly, I think it's fair to say it's like a plot hole, honestly. Like a nitpick plot hole. But seriously, the Germans wouldn't save them in World War either. They would not try to save them. Like in World War I or II, these nations of Malays, because the Malis are basically supposed to be, super evil Germans, right? And we saw it earlier as well, that they kind of built up that Roman Empire, right? Which the Roman Empire did care about soldiers and whatnot. But in Attack on Titan, they're like extra evil Roman Empire, right? So they kind of portrayed as super evil empire. They wants to win by any means necessary, right? So I would say that I don't think this actually makes any sense. I think the Mali Empire, given that they are like super, evil empire in that sense, right? Typical, not caring about soldiers, right? They probably wouldn't care about this. They probably would be like, why should we save them? Like they're probably dead anyway. Like I honestly think that if we have this kind of nation in history, or look at any historical, similarities with like separate German Empire and other empires with a similar, nationalistic and this so on and forth, right? They would not save them. They would not save them whatsoever. So honestly, this scene, in my opinion, it doesn't make any sense. The Mali should have let them die, right? They would be like, oh, they're dead, they lose it, yeah, whatever. That would be much more into what the Mali Empire. I mean, the Mali Empire is sending out people like bombs, right? From their separatists and whatnot. Of course, they are LD, but still, the Malis are clearly like super evil Germans. Right? They do not care about their soldiers. So no, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. Being a history buff, this makes no sense because the Malis are supposed to be like super evil, World War I or II empire. They did not care about the soldiers whatsoever. So it's the same, of course. Look at the Cold War after World War II, when the Soviets, for example, made people build a railway, right? The Trans Railway through Russia. And they would die building the railway. They die, whatever. You keep forcing building, so on and forth, right? Or if you look at like the Red Khmers and so on, right? So and the Mali Empire is supposed to be that kind of empire where they're like willing to sacrifice their men to build like a railway, right? Like that's how the empire is supposed to be. That's what's supposed to be coping, right? It's like a alternative World War I, II, something, right? So no, they should have died. They should have not saved them whatsoever. And also it's an obvious trap. So I mean even more so because it's an obvious trap and they are evil. So they should be like, why would we save them, man? Of course the episode is gonna be Sasha. It's gonna be about her death, right? It's gonna be about her love interest, her like new love interest that I was in the show before. We see his father, we see her father, we see her sister, right? We see her mom and so on, kind of introducing the Sasha, the Blues family, right, as well. it was a sad episode, definitely that part of it, and I did find it a little strange though, because it kind of kept jumping back and forth between, as I said, right, they kind of jump back and forth between, here's Sasha, and it's sad, she's dead. And here's Sasha eating a lobster, like with hand, like being like a monster, going lobster girl, right? So it's like a really weird, position anime, I feel, when it went from both like the comedy of Sasha being Sasha, right, being this like wholesome, friendly, funny girl, into her being dead and it's being sad, and they kind of jump back and forth between that. So that in the episode is really well done. And it's like a weird roller coaster of emotion, because you're sad and at the same time you're like laughing at Sasha being, Sasha being Sasha. Yes, you kind of like, you're sad and then the next thing you're laughing at it because it's a comedy, right? So it's that was a weird. It was a weird that scene, but whatever you call it, aftermath. Yeah, very weird episode in that sense. But I think it's good though, because it fits Sasha, right? Everyone loves Sasha. Sasha is like, beloved girl. Everyone loved her. Everyone thought she was the funniest girl, and so on. Right? So it's fitting that Sasha character, though, right? She's like, here's comedy and sadness at the same time. It's definitely fitting Sasha's character. So this character then, right? This new character to be, he is. I do find it a little silly though. Basically, right? He's in love with Sasha because when she eats, because he cries, of course, when she ate his food, right? And he's like, wow. No one's ever liked my food that much before. I think I do find it silly. The whole romance is that he is a chef, right? And he's making food, and she's like, oh my, and having like a soma experience with his food, right? And he's like, wow, she's getting off from my food. I'm gonna marry her. So it is a little silly, the whole thing, that he's like falling for her because no one ever liked his food that much, but. Sasha likes everything a lot, right? So I don't know if she even likes his food that much, because she just loves everything so much. So it's a little bit like, did she even love his food? I mean, because she's, opai, she's like, oh my, she's going the whole soma route. I feel with most food, right? So I feel a little bit. But the thing with Sasha, though, I said it last week too, is that people love her, right? She's kind of the comic relief character. She's the Puck. I don't mean Puck in Puck in Berserk. She's kind of the comic relief character, right? In Order Grim, actually kind of like Puck in SR2, I think. But she's the comic relief character, right? And interesting enough, though, I feel that, as I said last week, Sasha as a character, like in real life, I mean, the viewers, or everyone loves her, right? I'm not saying that necessarily everyone felt she was the best character or their favorite character. But I think Sasha as a character is very much like, everyone kind of likes her. Yeah, she's a popular character, right? She's not like number one, but she's everyone's number three. It's kind of like that character, but everyone just kind of loves her, Like, no one hates her. Like, Sasha's a good character. And in the anime world too, Sasha is like, everyone kind of loves her. Yeah, she's kind of that character in the anime too, right? Where everyone is like, I kind of like Sasha, She's kind of like a good character. Yeah, so that's like the thing with Sasha too. That she really was that heart, right? And of the anime, and I think that if like Connie died, who would care, right? Honestly, would anyone care about Connie dying? I mean, like Connie. I'm sorry, Connie, but it feels a little bit like, Connie. He's like, but yeah, I think overall the episode is they captured the Sasha moment pretty well. I feel, right, and they show this thing, and they're building up this her family and so on. So I get more for later. And in the end, also show the Gabby's rage, right? He's like, again, Gabby's like, I'm gonna kill them all. She doesn't learn anything yet. She's like, I'm planning my schemes, murder every damn Indian, right? So again, get them with Gabby, and then we see hot Aaron being like, look at my abs, right? So that's good. Oh yeah, one scene. Before I forget, I liked one scene. Forget here, the last part of the review here. Good part of the episode that they have this training with rifles, right? It's not like a big thing, but I like a thing because it kind of builds up that, even though arguably you could argue it should be before the earlier episodes, because it's kind of like, how would I say it, right? Like, this is arguably we didn't know that our war with the Mars anyway, but this scene is good, I think, because it builds up that they're going from fighting titans, right, with the flying around maneuver gear and having the cutting sword and so on. They're going from away from that and the javelins, and now they're like, how can we shoot at people, right? So they're kind of training now with the classic, rifling, accuracy, marksmanship, right? So I like that because it shows that Aaron is training to like how to kill humans, right, basically. And Armin is like, should we really do this thing? Armin's always like, being sympathetic person, be like, I don't want to kill humans. Shut up and shoot, Yeah, and Mikasa's like, I will do it if you want to, Aaron. I will train to kill him too, right? So it's kind of like an earlier scene here, but they're clearly training to like how to have human more, right? Which they of course weren't used to before that. And also Aaron is a little bit like, I'm gonna kill them all, guys. I'm gonna like get them. I'm gonna like kill those civilians. I'm gonna go in there and like transform. It's beating up a little bit of Aaron's like hatred and his like willingness to like just kill anyone, right, for his agenda, right. So it's a little hinting to that, right, and it's a good point of it too. That Aaron is like getting the thing. But anyways, let's take a time in review. Subscribe button, so on, right. I'll see you guys on Twitch soon here. I'm gonna take a short break, then go on Twitch. I'm gonna watch Mashup Potential, right? New but Isekai, really good anime, I think. Gonna do it on Twitch soon here. And then of course later tonight also gonna do Nonyon Biaru, right? Which is the most wholesome anime ever. As I say every week, I do really love watching Nonyon Biaru after this anime. This anime, everyone's dying and it's all horrible, right? And then going on Nonyon Biaru, where it's just like, look at my frog! And it's like super kawaii, it's wholesome instead. The complete opposite of animes. It's hilarious, I feel. But yeah, press the goddamn subscribe button, guys. I'm so close now to 5,000, right? You should look now, like, it's been a nice milestone. But as you guys have a great day.